recording session from 428. SPY ETF, SP 500 ETF still in big picture is long-term uptrend. Intermediate trend action is sideways at a prior swing high. So this just means that the uptrend is still intact in a sense of proven guilty. Moving on to the top two pre-market movers. Time was a large gap down, so 17%, so that's a skip. SYF, same deal, large gap down, about 18%. So just two passes right there. Saw three stocks I thought were good examples of maybe what to trade. Bring up Shop. So the ATR in Shop is 3. Shop is in the tech sector, and they help businesses do like online or get like set up for like online purchasing and things like that. Big picture stock Shop is on a long-term uptrend. The intermediate trend action is that we had a move up to about 78 bucks. Pulled back inside Keltner now to the midline, found support the prior day at this prior resistance level around 73 bucks. And Shop, as you can see, has kind of respected the pullbacks to the midline like over and over. So pull back to the midline this prior Thursday, closed way up off the lows. So just some potential potential ideas were just to see a COVH, which would be a trend continuation trade. Some tight sideways action by the breakout, or to get a COVH and an intraday uptrend, in which case we would buy the breakout of the second higher high. There's really not an all-time high level play. The next resistance is probably, if you look on the 30-minute here, it's probably right into this. We're getting the sideways junk around like 76.50. So what we see in Shop sideways, what really stood out to me is we do get above the prior day's high, so we get our COVH that we're looking for, and then we hold sideways for a solid 3.5 hours. So I think at any point in here, you start seeing the sideways action for more than an hour or so. You can just keep monitoring, put an alert at the top here. Maybe you take an attempt to buy the breakout as we start to approach here, or you just throw in a trade anywhere in this range and set your stop below VWAP. It does take a long time for this to work, but it's a nice trade into the close. If you just throw in the middle of this range here, 30 cents, to make a $1.30, it's a little 4-to-1 just at the end of the day, but big picture trend is with you trading a COVH, so good trading Shop. BIDA, which is not really in my wheelhouse. This is a counter trend trade, so just the big picture in BIDA is sideways. The ATRs on these wide range days, just measured these two are about $3. It's a tech sector, and they are providing like internet content for the Chinese automotive companies. So big picture is sideways. We just showed you. The intermediate action is we just had this move from about 24 bucks to 32, which if you look was a prior kind of like head and shoulders resistance level, and 32 bucks being kind of like a round number. Anyway, so we've kind of zoomed to that level, a couple narrow range days at that level, 3 closes outside of Keltner, so move back into somewhere inside the Keltner channel is something that could potentially be in play. 30.50 was a multi-day level. You kind of see right here, it's like touched once, twice, and also was an over-under level the prior day. So it was kind of an important intraday level for BIDA. So just kind of looking for the breakout. Break below 30.50 on some volume, short the first pullback, or get a COVL with 2 lower lows, 2 lower highs, and short the second lower low. In this case, I feel like we open down and then zoom down. It's a bit of too far too fast. So you're looking at before, we want trend trades after 10 o'clock, and it's already, the ATR on BIDA is about 3, but we've moved about $1.50 below the level. No real volume came in here too, so you're talking about moving too far too fast right off the open, and look where we close like right at the opening range. So if you just say we're taking COVE trades below the opening range, this is a total pass because they're too far too fast. But the daily chart setup was there. I felt, even though there wasn't the intraday trade that happened. So last one is MDXG. So MDXG, the ATR is about 80 cents. I just measured this day and this day. It's about 80 cents. This is a penny stock, but has been coming off a 52-week high uptrend. So recently we just reached 52-week highs, kind of pulling back inside the Keltner channel. If you look on the 30-minute chart, you just kind of see that this prior resistance level became support this day, and then we bounced back up there. So just kind of looking for any cove H trades, trend continuation trades, as it were. Also, you got to consider the stock is at 52-week highs, and people love to get short early. So potential short squeeze if we get above this 12.16 level. So a couple potential ways we could trade this is if we cove H and we hold right above 216, go sideways underneath that level for about an hour, it might throw in a trade there. If we get a cove H with an intraday uptrend, you could buy the breakout of the second higher high. If you kind of opened up and broke out of 12.16 on volume, you maybe look to buy the first pullback. So in an uptrend, so just looking at the intraday action, so we open down, which is good for a buy. We go up about 80 cents, which is generally the ATR in the first place. So maybe you pass on taking this first pullback, even though we are above cove H. Couple things stood out to me here. I think this is an in-play stock with a fair amount of above average volume. So this is where your 50-50 trade. This is such a tight range, and this in-play stock. So when you see this happening, I think you can really throw on a trade here and take the coin flip like you're talking about. So you risk 10 cents here. This still is a cove H trade with this sideways. We are within the opening range, but it's a cove H, and to get such compression intraday, I think is very rare. So when you see that, you should be prepared. We do get a very similar scenario again. This right up in, so at this point we have made a higher high, higher low, higher high. We have an intraday uptrend in the sideways for about 40 minutes. So you could have paid the breakout there, thrown on trade in here with a stop below VWAP, so 15 cents. I'll look at that again. So anywhere in here, and obviously we get to the all-time high 12.16 and don't reject away, so you'd still hold that. It ends up being a pretty decent trade. So trading with trend continuation trades, shopping at MDXG were definitely my best examples. Setups for coming into Monday's trading session. Wix. Wix, they are a website creation company. So 52-week highs, in a strong uptrend, just strong as could be. Recently just tested the 52-week highs and pulling back. Looks like we potentially found support here at this prior pivot. So maybe potential resistance becomes support on the daily. So kind of got some overlap, couple days of overlap going on over here. So some ideas if we open below here, below 84, kind of spike through on above average volume, and then you could buy the first pullback. The average ATR on wide range day is looking about, that was like $9. This is about $6, so maybe call it like $7.50. So if we spiked up maybe about $3 and then kind of went sideways for an hour, or we spiked up like $1 and then kind of tested this prior day's high, prior resistance becomes support, or just get above to cove H and just kind of go sideways for about an hour. I'm just throwing a trade in there. So Wix is not a good idea. Fuck, I don't want to say that. It's just an idea. Netflix. So Netflix makes media content for lots of people who like to stream shit at home. Netflix is at 52-week highs. Recent trend action is that they tested the all-time high and is now just not really rejecting, just kind of holding beneath this at this 153.50 level. So some ideas are looking for a trend continuation trade. And if we open below here and get to the all-time high 153.50, breakthrough on above average volume, perhaps buy the first pullback. Wide range days looking about like $7 here, $7 here, so $7 isn't out of the question. So if we open lower, intraday cove H, plus some higher highs, higher lows by the second breakout and higher low. You get above here, go sideways for about an hour, maybe look to buy that, or strong above average thrust, and then buy the first pullback at the all-time high. So Netflix is there. Momo's in the tech sector. They make fiber optic cables, as you mentioned before, and here's the note of what Momo ATR is still like. So I'm going to draw that back over here. So is in a long-term uptrend. 52-week highs. Recent trend action is we're going sideways at the 52-week highs. Have some action of like we're opening lower, but like closing, in the sideways range, like closing back in the range. So not a lot of weakness as we keep like breaking the low of this range. So we have an obvious level around this 39.20, which is the all-time high. So if we break to the all-time high on volume, you can buy the first pullback. If we break and hold above the all-time high for an hour sideways, you can buy anywhere in there. If we open below here and make an intraday uptrend 2 hours to our lows, you can buy the breakout of the second higher high. Or if we maybe made that same pattern but went sideways, you could just throw in any buy in there. So Momo was up there, and then Tesla. 52-week highs. Tesla makes electric cars. Uptrend. Recent trend action is going sideways. Lack of price rejection. Immediately 4 days overlapping at the all-time high, which is 314.90. Just call it 315. So some potential scenarios if we open lower, make some higher highs, higher lows. So intraday uptrend by the breakout. If we just hold above 315 and go sideways for about 30 minutes to an hour, you could buy anywhere in there. If we break out 315 on above average volume, like noticeable volume, you could buy the first pullback. So just some trades I felt I saw, and some good some analysis of potential setups for Monday. So I haven't been placing any trades, as you can see. Once again, just like committed to doing the right thing, getting my head right, and getting to where I can make some profitable trades, because I'm really tired of eating shit. So later.